All right, I got to come right out and say it. Gator football is here.
Yeah.
It's back, baby.
Saturday, baby. LIU.
LIU, Long Island. We paid them a lot of money to come here.
Be our whipping boys.
I hope so. I hope it's not like.
I know it.
Hope it's not like the 1 year.
I know it.
You pay a school like $1 million to come beat you.
Oh, it would be horrible.
It's a late game, 7 p.m.
Yep.
So for those of you going to it, come to the 12:30 service.
There you go.
Great
Good
plug.
Love it.
Just sleep in, come get some coffee, and enjoy a service. DJ Lagway's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I say we give him the world. I believe in DJ Lagway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope he's not glass.
I hope he is not glass.
It feels a little Tua-ish to me sometimes. I'm a Miami fan. Everybody knows that, and I love Tua, but Tua has
one too many concussions.
Yeah, Tua, man. Tua's one good hit away from it all being over. And it scares me to death. But anyway, I pray. I generally seriously pray for the man. I really, really do. We're a different club when he's in the pocket.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. It'll be a good season. I'm excited.
Yep.
We just announced this last week. Well, the last 2 weeks, we announced Sisterhood Weekend. We announced the Canvas Men's Conference.
Yeah, excited about it.
Something for the fellas, something for the ladies. So speaking on the men's conference, though, make a stand. Why are we doing this? Where'd it come from?
Well, as you well know, and most people do, we have been really committed to building men for 17 years. And so it takes so much energy and time and planning to do Men of Honor because it's an 8-month intensive. And I teach every month, and there's so much that goes into it that really all of my energy has been focused when it comes to building men on MOH. But I just felt like the time was right. We're of the size now. Our church has exploded. I've had a lot of people from the community that ask, because they know that we are committed to building men, if we were going to do this and provide something for the community. And so I just think a lot of people would be excited to come out and be a part of it. I mean, first off, you can't do too much to build men, especially in the day and age that we're at. And MOH is such a small group of committed guys, and there's so many men in our church and in our community that I think would benefit from this, that we just decided it was time to do it. And so it's going to be phenomenal. Couple of days. I know you guys have put a lot of time and energy and effort into planning all of the details around it. I'm speaking Friday night. Jeff Kapusta from Wilmington and Life Point is speaking on Saturday. He's doing a phenomenal job with men in his region. Yep. And so I'm just excited. I think it's going to be a huge turnout, and it's going to be a big weekend. Yeah,
because they're doing a version of Men of Honor as well, right?
Yeah, he calls it Brotherhood. Yeah. He called me, asked me about Men of Honor. We've given it to 15, 20 churches now.
Yeah.
But I just asked the guys if they're not going to do it exactly the way that we're going to do it, to brand it something different. And he took our concept and morphed it into he's really blown it up into a big, really a bigger venue and a bigger thing called Brotherhood. And they've got like 5 or 6 churches that are on board with them that they do this. Yeah, so it's like
That's cool.
They do a big initiation weekend, man. They go out and they camp, and they do all these, mud runs, and it's pretty wild, dude. And there's a 6 months long. But anyway, he's done a great job with it. Jeff's a great leader.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's going to be great, man. Those are all October, so we got registrations up for both of them, so people need to hop on, get registered.
Yep.
All right, let's get into this today, man. Season 2, Episode 2.
Let's go.
Continuing in through the book of Nehemiah the last few weeks. We went through chapters 2 and 4 these last 2 Sundays. How, takeaway through the whole series, how God does extraordinary things through ordinary people.
Yeah.
He specializes in using the unlikely to do the impossible, so that when it happens, all the glory goes to him.
Right.
And so kind of out the gate here, why is it important for all of the glory and all of the honor to go to God?
Yeah, it's not egotistical. It's not that he's insecure and he needs to be praised. It's that he is sovereign. It's that the Bible says that everything was created by him and for him. That we only exist for the good pleasure of God, brother. That we don't exist just because he wanted to give us life. Everything in this creation, everything in this universe was created to point to the glory and the goodness of God. It's just because he is the apex of everything. He is sovereign over all. And so anything that we do is a reflection of the capacity that he gave us. Anything that we accomplish is a reflection of what he gifted us with. No man is self-made. The Bible says in the Psalms that we are the sheep of his pasture, that know ye that he is God. It is he that has made us and not we ourselves. We're the sheep of his pasture, his creation. So we didn't get here by ourselves. The purposes that we live for are not our own self-designed purposes. We were created by God. I say it this way all the time. We were created on purpose, with a purpose, for a purpose. So anything that accomplishes its purpose ultimately is not for the glory of the thing itself. Whatever it accomplishes goes back to the originator and the manufacturer and the visionary of that original purpose. So it's not that it's actually not that it's important that the glory go to God. The glory just goes to God. You know what I'm saying? The glory just goes to God. We have nothing to do with our capacity, our ability. God gave us every bit of that. Now, certainly you can squander that and waste that. I've always said it like this about potential. That potential is God's gift to us. Our development of that potential is our gift back to God, to say, God, we want to honor you with what you gave to us. But you didn't create anything in your own. You had nothing with you being here. God created you. God created me. God gifted you. God gifted me. And all of that was on purpose, with a purpose, for a purpose. So whenever anything good happens from our lives, the glory automatically does go to God. But he chooses foolish. You know, we brought that out. He chooses the foolish things of the world. What he wants the world to know is that it is him. That he can do anything through anyone, anywhere that he chooses to use. In the Bible, he used a donkey. He spoke to the prophet Balaam out of a donkey, right? I mean, he can use anything and anybody. And that's why Israel was so important. It was one of the smaller nations. They were considered to be a weak, feeble people. And God wanted to show his glory through the nation of Israel. So all throughout the Old Testament, you see this little nation defeating nations 5 times their size. I mean, they were outnumbered always. They were surrounded always. And God always gave them incredible victory, so that the world would look at Israel and go, wow, man, who is their God? You know, and so that's really the thing, man. God really wants to draw people to himself. And so everything that we do points back to him.
So kind of on the heels of that, then, because, you know, anytime the person themselves does something and it is something good, praise, or, you know, for lack of a better word, praise can go to that person, right? Like, oh man, you did awesome, like great job, all the attaboys, which there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but how do you in those moments still turn and like give glory to God in those moments when maybe all of the accolades go to like you as the person?
Because people, it's a tendency to do that. If God's using you in a great way or whatever, I've always said about this, you've heard me say this for years, because I was on the Outdoor Channel too for 20 years, you know, and I've learned that stages and screens make people think you're different than they are because they see you from a distance on stage, they see you on TV or whatever that may be, and you're a little bit larger than life to people. They just think somehow you're a little bit different than they are, and it's just not true at all. You just happen to be in a different venue than they are. But when you do something good, or when God uses you to do something good, what I've always said to you as a staff and all the staff is, it's so important that don't make it weird. Don't be false. You know, false humility is just as bad. You know, I'm not that gifted. You know what? No, man, acknowledging that God's given you gift and ability, but still making sure that you understand that you do know God gave you that ability is a wonderful thing. You should say, my mother taught me how to do this well. Be gracious, but then turn and always say, because I say this every time, please keep praying for me. I need your prayers always. And I mean that sincerely. But the phrase that I use is, we're called to always reflect his goodness, but to deflect his glory. So I think in our lives, whatever we produce, whatever we do, however we act, however we conduct ourselves and carry ourselves, we should always be a reflection of the goodness of God as followers of Christ. But when people recognize us for something, I think it's important to be gracious and say thank you, but then make sure you deflect the glory and not let it go to your head. You really can't, because here's the danger. If you let too much praise go to your head, you'll also let criticism go to your heart and make you quit. So you got to be careful that you don't believe your own press clippings. You're really not that good. You're really not as good as they say you are, but you're also not as bad as they say you are.
Somewhere in between.
So you just need to understand that what comes along with being in leadership or doing something important is that, there will be people that will recognize you for it, and they'll try to praise you for it. And there's nothing wrong with people saying thank you, or they're appreciative of the hard work that you put in. Once again, that's healthy. There's nothing wrong with that. but don't. I've always said to the staff, if you want applause, join the circus. Don't get in ministry. Because there'll be some people that will always say, man, there ain't nobody like you. Then there'll always be people say, man, nobody sucks as bad as you. So you just have to understand that leadership by nature means you're out front, you're leading. There's going to be some praise that comes with it. There's going to be a ton of criticism that comes with it. Don't ever let the praise go to your head. Don't let the criticism go to your heart. Stay level-headed. Give the glory to God. Keep plowing and doing work that matters.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And kind of in that message 2 weeks ago, leaders have passion, not necessarily power, position. You kind of were recapping some stuff, how we all have influence. At minimum, we each influence minimum of 4 people every day. You know, and so everyone falls in this category in everything we're talking about. And you broke down leaders move the needle by defining the mission clearly, making plans strategically, and inspiring people passionately.
Right.
And so, clarity's king. It's all those things comes from conversations, and then pray like it depends on God, work like it depends on us. Nothing's successful unless a lot of other people want it to be.
Right.
You broke down all that great in that message. But what does the person though do when maybe they're stuck in each of those? So let's just say if they don't know how to bring clarity, they don't know how to develop a plan. They don't know how to inspire, but they have this burden that they're passionate about. They just have no clue. They're not good at the other things. Like where do they begin there?
Yeah. First off, it's really not that it's not that difficult to bring clarity because all you have to do is what I said. You have to define what is the one big thing.
Yeah.
In other words, science has a phrase. The phrase is irreducible minimum. Okay, it means something is broken down to a point that it cannot be broken down anymore. You have taken something to what they call an irreducible minimum. That's what you have to do with whatever the purpose is that God's called you to. What is the one big thing? So for us, I said it wasn't just have church. That's too general. Everybody's just having church. It's not just preach and sing a few songs. Everybody's going to do that. What is going to separate us? Why? There were 440 churches here in Alachua County. It didn't need another church. It needed a different kind of church. Well, what does that mean? What was our irreducible minimum? What was it going to look like? We were going to unapologetically be a soul-winning church. We were going to create church, create environments, and create a situation where unchurched people actually felt comfortable and liked going to church because they were going to explore their claims and the curiosity about Christ. But it was clear they were not going to liturgical, traditional churches to do that. And I would ask people why. And they would tell me, feels outdated. It's boring. I can't wait to just get out of there and go eat. I don't see application to my life. I don't really see how it plays into my daily life. It just feels like this, escape from reality for a little while. They just couldn't see the connection. And so we listened to that. And what we wanted to do at Canvas was create an environment that was passionate, that was engaging, that was relevant. We wanted people, and I love this, man. I love, we teach the Bible. Of course, there are things that we don't compromise on at all. But because all of those things run through the filter of what would an unchurched person feel if they were in this room? What would an unsaved person who still is curious about Christ, just not yet convinced, what can we do through our facility? What can we do through our volunteers? What can we do through the course of a service to somehow acknowledge them? Acknowledge them. Because what most unchurched people feel is that they've walked in on a family gathering and they're clearly outsiders. Nobody's acknowledging them. Nobody's talking to them. Nobody's saying anything that's acknowledging they're in the room. So I purposely had to rethink how I communicated and how I talked. So now if you come to Canvas, you probably just take it for granted. But when I'm teaching through the Bible, I will sometimes stop in the middle of it and go, all right, let me catch you up and tell you where we're at and why what I'm about to say matters, because I'm not going to take for granted that you grew up in church or that you understand this Bible story or that you know everything about David and Goliath or the background or the surroundings, or you know everything about, whatever it may be. I stop and I acknowledge that you're in the room, and I get that you may not have any church background, and I want to tell you why what we're about to talk about is relevant. So let me bring you up historically. Let me bring you up why this is in the Bible and what's going on in the text, and then we go from there. People love that. But what I'm doing is I'm acknowledging. I'm saying, man, we see you. We know that I'm not just talking to the people in the room that's been saved 25 years. So everything that we did and everything that we do runs through this filter of how would an unchurched or unsaved person be able to connect and relate here today and see value in Christ, in the Word, and realize why this actually matters in their life. Now, what that's done over 17 years, that's made, I cannot tell you how many people have said to me over the years, I look back, Pastor, and the truth is I never invited anybody to church. And I said, why? And they would acknowledge it. They go, the truth is, when I thought about my unsaved nephew or my unsaved coworker, and I thought about the current church I was attending, I could not see how they would get anything out of that. I knew they needed Jesus, but I was scared to invite them because I didn't want them to sit there and go, man, what are we doing? But now I'm so excited about church. I see so much value in their lives that for the first time, I cannot wait to invite everybody that I know in my family to come. And so the reason why so many people get saved here is because there's so many people in the room that don't know Christ yet that have been invited by their saved friends and relatives. Yeah. So it's just, what's your one big thing? Okay, what's your one big thing? What is that one thing that God is calling you to do? And I talked about this. You know, if you say, man, I got a heart for kids, that's fantastic. Yeah. Which kids? Yeah,
be as specific as possible.
What kids do you actually have a burden for? You got to narrow that thing down. So it's not necessarily whether you're gifted at organization or not. You just need to get whatever it is down to an irreducible minimum. What is my one big thing? And then from there, that'll be the filter that gets you to the others.
Yeah, it's great. Then turn the corner there, went into chapter 4. The progress is happening. Yeah. Then the trouble comes, right? Yeah. The opposition shows up, difficulty shows up. Whenever you do anything big for God, there's always big opposition, right? You unpack that. It doesn't come, when, and I love that because it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing anything wrong, right? Like
comes because you're doing something right.
Yeah, and it's sometimes and we've talked about this before. You can be right Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, be tempted by the devil. He was like in the perfect will of God. Facing his biggest temptations. And so it doesn't, of course that's going to happen. And you talked about the cafeteria, like for us as a church, like that era. So let's take people back there for a moment. Just the smells. I don't know if you remember the smell of that place.
Do I remember the smells? They haunt me. They're like demons, like ghosts.
The macaroni on the wall, where we would show up and there's just food everywhere. Yeah. Remember they added in. So this is obviously for those that don't know, when we were portable for many years, portable church, set up, tear down.
8 years. Yeah.
But I'll never forget the what was it, like a drink machine or something they put in there?
It was a vending machine.
And it would turn on.
Yeah, the compressor would kick on right in the middle of my sermon. It'd go,
and everybody in the room would just slowly look.
Oh, it was terrible.
It was the most distracting
and we had to build this big box.
We built a box
and insulated it just to put it around the vending machine during service.
Dude,
it was
insane.
Hilarious.
And I remember if you go back and, when we did the Sweet 16 documentary, I think we had footage, like old footage we put in there. But you can see it. You're standing on the cafeteria stage, and your head is like, touching the roof.
Yeah. I could reach up and slap the ceiling with no problem. Sure.
It was insane.
Yeah,
but
it was.
Would you? And I know you talked about it in this message, but about it being a place of discouragement, right? Would you say, was that like the greatest opposition? And I know there's been countless oppositions, but maybe just because of the life of the church, because of where we were, what we didn't have, all those things, would you say that was maybe like the hardest, or was it just the first time it was that hard?
Well, I would say here's how I think we need to categorize it this way. We'll talk about discouragement. I would separate discouragement from hard. What I would say is, I think the hardest stretch of ministry was the renovation of this facility. Yeah. Those 18 months, I was having physical problems, man. My health was shot, dude. My immune system was down to nothing. We're preaching, man. We're stretching. We're doing everything we can. The normal operations of ministry are happening. But this was such a massive undertaking, and me and Jason were together every day, and everything that we uncovered was big and expensive. And it was just, it was a nightmare, man, honestly. But I wasn't discouraged. I was never discouraged during this. It was just hard.
Yeah.
Discouraged where I actually for the first time thought, this may not work. I mean, it may not survive. I mean, it may not happen. The dream that I saw, the thing that I had in my heart that I felt like God had given me, when we walked into that cafeteria, and well, I've said this for years. I said to my wife, if the church is going to die, it's going to die in this room. Because I just could not wrap my mind around why anybody would want to come to church in this nasty, little, stinky cafeteria, and the amount of work and effort that it was going to take for us every week on the day. We couldn't get in advance. We had to do it day of. Set up, tear down, put everything back before we left. It was crazy, man. The amount of work was just insane. And it was so small and so, just a jacked up venue. Again, I looked around and just said, why would anybody, come to church here, man? But we just had to keep putting one foot in front of the other. But yeah, it was incredibly discouraging because I just didn't know if it was going to survive or live or die. I really didn't. And I was fully expecting that it very well may not. And that if we just stalled at 50 people and we were at 50, 60 people in 5 years, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I could have kept doing it. I don't know if I would have kept doing it. But it was the providential hand of God. We look back now and we know that the steps of the righteous are ordered by the Lord. And even though, I love the scripture, and you have to hold on to this, man, that we see through a glass darkly. And I know that that's a whole different, I'm not taking it out of context. I know that it's speaking of a whole different, doctrinal issue, that scripture. But I also think it applies greatly to, man, we don't know what the future holds. Only God knows that he holds the future. And our job is obedience and faith. And we get up every day and do our very best, show up, go to work, and trust that God has a plan. You have to, man. You have to trust he has a plan. And even though there are moments that you go, I just don't see the plan. I don't know how this is. I don't understand why this is part of the plan. How could this be part of the plan? I mean, it just feels like that in the moment. But that's when you have to really dig deep and find your cage fighting soul. I said this last Sunday when I got to this part, what do you do when you come to these moments? And I said to the congregation, I said, I really wish I had something profound to tell you right here. I thought about it and wish I had something really deep to write down, but I don't. Go. Keep going. Hang in there like a hair in a biscuit, baby. You just gotta, you just have to. And so I just remember so vividly not feeling it, man. Not feeling it. I wasn't excited about it. All I knew to do was get up and go to work. All I knew to do was build another sermon, teach another leadership, rally another group of people, keep inspiring the people that were there, keep encouraging them to invite their friends and family, even though the venue was terrible. Just keep doing it. Let's just trust God. I had to keep their eye on the ball. That forget about the venue. We're going to make much of Jesus. Forget about what it smells like and what it looks like or how hard this is. Dude, we're going to lift up Jesus, and God's going to do something important in our community. And sometimes, even if I didn't know I believed it, I was speaking it by faith. I was just saying, man, I deep down, I know God's not limited by the things that we think limit him or limit us. And I would say that over and over and over and over again. But sure enough, and we look back now, we grew to 300 people in that cafeteria. But more important, the heart of our church was forged in that cafeteria. Our fighting spirit, our ability to say, whatever, man, it's on the wall right here, whatever it takes, whatever. We're here for it. We're down for it. It don't matter what he calls us to do. If we can do this, we can do anything. And we still have to tap into that from time to time. But that's who we are, man. We are church planners and cage fighters at heart. And I try to tell pastors that when they come and they see, what all's happened and where we're at now and the size of our church and how beautiful everything is and how, incredible everything just seems up and to the right. And I just go, hey, man, don't be fooled by any of this. Dude, you strip us down and we'll roll around in the dirt with you again. That's just who we are. You have to keep that. But we didn't have that until the cafeteria. But it has, in many ways, been one of the secrets to, I really believe, the success of our church.
For sure. Mm-hmm. And I think back too, it's like, we were at 100% volunteer rate at that time because we would end service. I can probably almost word for word. It's still thank you so much for being with us today. If you wouldn't mind, as you stand up, fold your chair and hang it on the rack as you leave.
It was awesome.
And if people, they would look around and be like, all right. So they would stand up. They'd get their chair, a couple chairs around them, walk outside, hang it up,
it was
leave.
Awesome.
Other people would bring it was 100% volunteer rate, man. It was unheard of.
Yeah.
But I think back to that too, because, I think it's a testament to obviously everything you preached about. Mm-hmm. It's not just like, especially this last Sunday.
Yeah.
It's not just like you're up there going like, all right, here's what you need to do. I read it in a book. It's like, no.
Yeah.
When those challenges came and you plowed, you kept pushing.
Yeah.
And for us, like we were there not thinking this place sucks.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even like we show up and we're like, we go from Mabane to there and we're just like, let's freaking go because we saw you going, hey, we're going to do this.
Right.
And so just that, like you said, it's like you didn't feel it, but that you were still like head down, we're going to plow.
You got to.
And all of us are like, yeah, of course we are. What else are we going to do? And now looking back, it's like, you ask that question in this last sermon, like who does it affect if you quit?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And my mind like immediately went there, like not just all the people, but like just like personally us, like who were there, and man, just the passion that was there, and I think for people, a lot of times you can hear that, and I know like you shared that personal story there, but still I think people can be like, oh yeah, but it's just tough for me, but you got to understand, like there was no reason for it to continue on, and God still.
We would have guest speakers.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this one particular guy preached for us on Sunday. We went to lunch and he said, man, I got to be honest with you. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. That's what he said to me. I mean, he's one of my guest speakers. He was a friend of mine. And he just said, dude, I got to tell you, this is as bad as I've ever seen. And he was just shaking his head. And what he was really shaking his head about was, at that, when he came, we had grown to like 200.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I really can't believe that actually you got 200 people to come here, And so he was testifying to God's moving. Yeah. But he said, Dad, I'm telling you, he said, I told my wife, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, man. It's terrible. Oh, and man. I just laughed. I said, dude, who you talking to? You're preaching to the choir, bro. Yeah. I said, man, I've been living in this thing for 2 years, dude. I knew when I walked in, I said, this is not good, man. Yeah.
Were we there for 2 years?
We were there for 3 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we were there for 3 years. Yeah, because remember, we couldn't even, I was just trying to have Easter at the high school, and the principal at the time wouldn't even call me back. Yep. They didn't believe that school and church should meet. I mean, a lot of people believe that here. So we had doors closed and shut in our face all the time. I forgot we were there for 3 years, remember, it was Dr. Leclerc.
Yeah, when she came to the high school, that changed everything for us.
She was there 1 week, and somebody told me they've had a change of a principal who had been there like 11 years. Mm-hmm. And they said, I think she's a believer. I called the same day, went and saw her that afternoon. I mean, we had the ball rolling, and we were in like 3 weeks. Yeah. I mean, it was just an answer to prayer, man. Yeah. And then, our church had a whole nother gear there, man. I'll never forget that, man. The high school was an answer to prayer.
Oh, yeah. Yep. But I think that's an important question, though. Like, what happens if we quit? Like, who happened? Like, who doesn't happen if we quit? Like just that. It's such an important thing to frame it with, because it's not about and I know you got to that, and we'll probably get to that too. But when Nehemiah, he's like, hey, look around, man. Yeah, do it for your families. Like this isn't about you.
That's it, man.
And that sometimes is the only thing you need to push.
And I really think, not to nuance this, but I think it's important to say, I think that was part of the discouragement for me. When you're the lead anything and you feel ultimately responsible, and you see people believe in you and trust in you and follow you, and you've asked a lot of them, and they do it, you want to show up big for them. You want to bless them, man. You want to lead them where you know they're going to be blessed. And I saw these people who were fighting, man. They were fighting. I know they did it for God. I know they were loving God. But what you just said, they were looking at me, and they knew that I wasn't giving up, and they knew that I was pushing and pressing, and they weren't going to leave me out there by myself. And if I was going to stand up and show up and keep going, they were going to keep going too. And that is the nature of leadership. But when you can't produce, when you feel so desperate that you want to bless them and you want to show them and you want them to experience good things and you can't control that, it does something to you, man. That's a part of the discouragement. You feel responsible and you feel like, man, I want to show them something good so bad, and there's nothing good here to show them. So you have to find what is happening. Where is the progress? Where is the bright light? You know, I told the story in the video when we did the documentary about, you know, I got there that morning to preach, and I go in the bathroom, and man, these 6 dudes have been there since 7 a.m. and they've set up everything and tore everything down, and it was 2 hours, and they have sweated down. It's the middle of July, and they are just drenched, and they're in these little bitty sinks in the elementary school, and they're down in their underwear, man, and they're just washing underneath their arms and putting on their usher shirts to go out and usher. And then when church was over, they were going to be there for another hour before they could go eat with their families. And I went in there, and they were still so pumped.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'm laughing with them. I'm cutting up, man. I'm like, man, let's freaking go, you know. And dude, I walked out and lost it. Just lost it. Because I said, man, these people actually believe what I'm telling them. They actually, and I just felt the weight of that, man. That these people believe in what God's doing here, and they believe in my passion for it, my faith for it. And I you know, I made up my mind, man. I just remember crossing a line in the sand right there. If there was anything in my soul that had contemplated going somewhere else and doing something easier, I said to myself right then, God, if you'll help me, I ain't letting these people down. I'm not letting these people down. I'm going to work my freaking butt off. I'm going to give it everything I got to move this needle, because they believe in you and believe in me, and I'm not going to let them down. I'm not going to let them down. And so that's one of the most rewarding things now. There are still people that are with us that were there and in that room that day. And for them to see them praising God and crying every time another person comes to Christ, and they get to see how the church has exploded and how God has restored marriages and changed our community and rewrote stories in our region, and they've been a part of it ever since. And they shake their head and go, it was worth everything. It was worth it. We would do it all over again if God required us to do it again. It was worth it. And to know that you were together on that climb, that you fought together. You know, there's something about foxholes, man.
Yeah.
When you forge a friendship in a foxhole, baby, it's a friendship for life. Yeah. I mean, I don't care what separates you, time, distance, it don't matter. When you're together, when bullets are flying and blood slinging, and you're out there going for it and surviving and got each other's back, man, you forged something. I mean, that's why our staff is so close. You know, that's why I love you like I love you, and love Caleb and love all of our staff. I mean, you guys never complained. You just showed up and went big with me, man. And bro, loyalty's, I'm an 8. I think loyalty means a lot to a lot of people, but to an 8, it's sacred to me. And so the people who were with you, and the people who fought with you, and the people who believed in you, and the people who prayed for you, and the people who encouraged you, and the people who said, yeah, just show us the way and we're down, bro. You know, they're my family. And when you're in my world and my family, I got you. Yeah. It don't matter what I got to do or what it takes. I'm going to, you know, that matters, man. And so I'm just so thankful to the people of the church and to our staff and to what all's happened. But yeah, man, you know, again, we started this whole kind of little segment by how discouraging the cafeteria was, but look what all good came from it.
Yeah, I know.
Look what happened in our hearts, man. Look what happened in our minds. Look what happened in our souls, man, and in our relationships because of the cafeteria, man. God knew.
Yep.
And I'm grateful that he always does know. You just got to get up and go.
Yep. in the whole, attracting from the outside, opposition from the outside. And it's kind of this like, one step forward, two steps back.
Yeah.
It's always involving other people. Kind of almost like a side note to this, like anytime you have, and I've heard you talk about this a lot, but I think it's important to maybe like just for people to hear this, because anytime you have a big dream, a big vision, like this burden, this passion, whatever it is, there's a really good chance you've been living with it for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Processed it, walked through all these things, and then you share it. And there's a reason why most people immediately don't get on board with your dream, and they hate change. Like change, it's just And so maybe talk about that a little bit, almost addressing the elephant in the room of that, of just that you dream like all this change, but it is going to face opposition because people aren't comfortable with it. They haven't lived in it as long as you.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's a couple of areas you got to really look at and acknowledge. There's a leadership aspect to it that you got to grow in as a leader. If a leader's listening to this or a pastor is listening to this, and this would encourage them. I didn't do well with it for a long time because of that. I wasn't mature enough to recognize that God had been dealing with me about something for 6 months or a year. I'd been processing it, praying over it, thinking about it. Finally, by the time I was sold out to it, I was passionate and ready to go. I'm ready to storm hell with a water pistol. And then I would cast vision to the church and it would be crickets. And I would get furious. I was like, man, okay. But they're hearing it for the first time. You weren't excited about it when God said it to you the first time either.
Yeah.
So he's had to deal with you. He's had to cultivate that thing. He's had to put that spirit splinter in your heart. You've lived with it. You've wrestled with it. But the other thing about change that I think you got to acknowledge, you talk about the elephant in the room, is this. Most people, by far, the majority of people equate change with loss. They naturally gravitate to loss. And here's why. We tend to overestimate what we currently have and then underestimate what we may gain by giving that current thing up. Okay? So we overestimate what we have and we think this is great.
Yeah.
And then we underestimate what actually may be produced by giving this thing up. We think it actually may go worse instead of better. But every time that good progress is made, your life is better off. More progress happens. So you have to learn how to, I think it's an art to lead people through change. I think it's an acquired thing that you learn over time to be able to lead people through change. But where we're at now, the beautiful thing about leadership is if you've done it long enough, all right, trust is the currency of leadership. When you do it long enough and they were reluctant the first time and it panned out, and then they're a little reluctant the second time because it's big and it's new, and then it pans out again, and then you have enough track record behind you that the people begin to trust you really do pray, you fasted, you really did hear from the Lord, you really put together a strong strategic plan, and look at the track record. You get pocket change with people. You get more credibility and more credibility and more credibility, so that there does come a moment of pivotal where the tide turns, where you can sell big vision, and they've saw how you've led faithfully for long enough, and God has answered those prayers and it's panned out, that when they hear something new, they just immediately go, hey man, we trust this. Look what he's already done. Yeah. And so, you hear it, we trust you. Look what's already happened. Let's go. Now there'll always be new people that maybe don't have that track record with you. But if you've led people in one place long enough, they begin to trust your leadership. And it's a very valuable and sacred thing that should never be treated lightly. I always say this about trust. It's gained slowly, can be lost quickly. Therefore, you have to contend for it continuously. So you need to be able to frame what you're saying. I never stand up, and you've been with me long enough now the whole time. I never stand up and go, this is a for sure winner. Yeah. What I say is, I love the scripture in the New Testament where the apostles said, we got together, we planned it out, we prayed over it. Seems good to us in the Holy Spirit that we should do this. I love that. Seems good to us. Seems like the Holy Spirit put his stamp of approval on it. All right, here we go. I love to tell everybody for years that it's an experiment. Ministry is an experiment. We're going to try. Not everything's going to work. Not everything's going to pan out. But here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to stand on the shore in safe, shallow water while we know that the next souls and the people that God's called us to reach are out in waters over our head and play it safe. We're not going to play it safe. We're always going to follow the Lord into deeper waters, and we're going to trust him, and we're going to try. I would rather fail trying than know I'm going to fail by not trying. I mean, not taking risk is the biggest risk of all.
Yeah.
So, faith is risk. And if you're going to do this, God is going to lead you into places that you're going to constantly, and this ain't just church. This is for anybody that's listening, that God's calling you to do something. Maybe they're in this series with us and they're feeling inspired, or maybe they're in the middle of been doing it and this thing has just been confirmation for them. Anything that God calls you to do that requires faith, that is always about other people, will constantly make you a little uncomfortable. And you have to get comfortable living with a level of uncomfortability. It's not coincidence that the Holy Spirit, one of his names is the Comforter. You don't need a comforter if you're always comfortable. So I have gotten used to, I have made friends with fear. I've just made friends with it. I just, it's not that people think, oh, you don't ever fear anything anymore. That's bull. I always have a little element of fear. I just don't let fear have me. I'm just not going to play it safe. We're not going to always take the easy route. We're not going to stay in shallow water. We are serious about winning souls and doing what God's called us to do and making much of Jesus. And that is always going to mean that there's going to be some risk and deep water involved. And we just got to calculate as best we can, make a plan, and then go, bro.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to go.
Yep, for sure. And that last point in this last sermon, the opposition on the inside, doubt on the inside. You mentioned how Canvas was the first time in your life where you couldn't base the success solely off of how hard you were working.
Yeah.
I know we talked about that a little bit already, but maybe why is it important to get to that place where you can't accomplish it on your own?
Well, what I said to the people in that sermon, and I don't know if they picked up on it, it was just a little one-sentence statement, but it's so pregnant. I realize now that God was strategically crushing me. He was strategically tearing me down. He was strategically getting me to the place that I could actually be trusted with the vastness of the vision and the mission and the enormity of his church. I could not be trusted before, because had this happened, what's happened at Canvas, and I walked away thinking, I made this happen. That's no bueno, bro. That's no bueno. If you've ever been around an arrogant, self-absorbed, self-centered leader, there is nothing more vexing to the soul and nothing more discouraging to a follower than a self-absorbed, arrogant leader. And had I been able to apply myself and just work harder and put gifting to it and then look around and go, man, we started with 18 people in the living room, man. We got 2,500 people and we're turning the place inside out. We're expanding in every direction. And you think you're just that smart or just that good. That pride, well, how did the devil become the devil? He was Lucifer, son of the morning. He was the worship leader of heaven, right? And then one day he started believing what the other angels were saying about him. He started saying, the truth is, I think they actually love me more than God. I think they actually love to hear me jam more than God. I think they actually look to me and my leadership more than God. And the day that he thought that he was responsible for his own success and that he was more important than God, it was pride, it was sin, and that was it. He's out. And he became the devil, right? He became not son of the morning, but prince of the night. So that is the cardinal beginning of the ugliest of sin is pride. And so it had to happen the way that it happened. God had to have me come to the end of myself where I finally, truthfully threw myself on the mercy of God. And I truly said, I'm not good enough. But you got to understand, and I hope it don't make me sound like a freaking jerk, but I was an athlete my whole life. I started at everything. I played all-stars. When I played football, I never came off the field. I played quarterback and free safety. I was the fastest dude on the team. It was all of those things. And so, when you're an athlete, let's be honest, you don't know a good athlete. They ain't got a little chip on their shoulder. They're a little arrogant, And so you got confidence, and really it's cockiness. And I took that into life with me. And then even when I got saved, I know I was trying to grow in this, but I was immature, and you carry a lot of that stuff with you. Now, what I did learn over time was God doesn't want to defrag you of that competitive spirit. He wants to sanctify it. He wants to consecrate it and use it, but it's got to be mature and it's got to be under the right thing. But everything that I ever wanted to do, I just was able to work hard. I was able to just be smart. I was able to just apply. I just hit it harder and hit it harder and hit it harder. And in sports, that's it. If you just play harder and hit it harder, you win. You want it worse, you win. That's what it comes down to. And so everything, even in ministry for many years, I was able to just put in 80, 90 hours a week and just apply myself. I studied the Bible like crazy, developed my preaching ability, work on what God had given me, and just doors were opening like crazy. And so that happened young. And then when me and Lonnie started the church, man, same thing. It blew up very, short period of time, and amazing things happened. And I knew it was going to be hard planting a church from scratch, but I didn't have any doubt in my mind. I really didn't. I didn't have a doubt in my mind when we got here that it was just going to blow up. And what happened is I got blew up. and man, those 5 years were just, and it was just God in his providence saying, I love you. And you do have something, and I did give you something, but I can't trust you with this thing like you are. You have to absolutely understand. Okay, it's Jacob becoming Israel. Bible says he wrestles with God all night long. Okay, it's an amazing story in the Old Testament. Now, let me just ask this: do you really think that it's a wrestle match? Do you think it's a match for God and a man? No. And he kept saying, let me go, let me go, let me go, let me go, let me go. And Jacob said, I'm not going to let you go till you bless me. I'm not going to let you go till you bless me. Bible says he even touched the hollow of his thigh. Jacob walked with a limp for the rest of his life from that encounter. But he finally, he had came to a place in his life where Jacob was a liar, a cheater, a con man, a supplanter. He had cheated everybody in his life out of everything. You couldn't trust Jacob farther than you could throw him. He had cheated his own brother out of his birthright, and he was a little bit soft, and Esau was a man of the world and the man of the woods and a warrior. And the Bible says that Esau finds out where Jacob's at, and he sent a messenger to tell him, I'm coming with 400 of my boys, and that's it. You screwed the last dude that you're ever going to screw over in this life, and he's coming for his head. And he knows Esau ain't one to be played with. And that's when he finally had painted himself into a corner where there was no way to lie your way out of this one, no way to con your way out of this one. He threw everything in the bag that he had at it, and he realized this was life or death. And he had finally come to the end of himself. And in that encounter, that's why God says to him, what's your name? God knew his name. When God asks questions, it's never for his information. It's always for your revelation. And he said, okay, I'll bless you. What's your name? My name's Jacob. Okay, it's a moment in his life where he basically has to hang his head and go, for the first time in my life, I'm going to acknowledge, look in the mirror, and I'm going to admit who I am. I am a liar. I am no stinking good. I'm a cheat. I'm a con man. I've never produced anything good on my own. I've always had to cheat you out of what you had for me to have anything. That's who I really am. And he came to the end of himself. And when he finally came to the end of himself and repented for that, God said, okay, now, now I think I can do something with you. And he changes his name to Israel, which means prince with God and man. And he builds this great nation out of Jacob. But he couldn't trust a liar and a supplanter and a con man with the weight of the future of his nation and his people. And so that's what it was for me. I wasn't a con man or a liar, but I just thought I was that good. And God had to just crush me and crush me and crush me and crush me and crush me until I truly said, this isn't going to work unless you do something that none of us can do. We have to have you move. All right, bro, I started praying different. I started fasting truthfully different. I started seeking God in his face differently. I started going to the word differently, like a starving man on a T-bone steak, man. I was looking for anything, dude. I just needed a bone. But I truly had come to the end of myself. It said, I realize now I don't have what it takes. I really don't. And God, if you don't do it, it's not going to get done. And the day that I truly prayed that, meant it, and came to the end of myself, dude, that's when doors begin to open, things begin to shift. I mean, it was, and we all knew it was God. Yep. Only the glory could go to God. Now, I want to lead well. I want to work hard. I want to do my job. I want to do my part. But in no way, shape, or form can I take the credit for where this church has come to. There were doors that opened that allowed us to grow and become who we are that no man could have opened. Now, I'm not being false humility here. I've tried to lead well. And I think God has used that leadership, and I've had good mentors, and I've tried to grow, and I've tried to be smart, and I've tried to make sure that I, study to show myself approved, a workman that needeth not be ashamed. I've tried to make sure that we keep our eyes focused on the culture and the structure and the leadership. Yes. You got to lead well. But ultimately, when you lead well, all you're doing is you're offering that up as a sacrifice to God, your good leadership or your hard work. And you're saying, okay, this is the best I have, but I still know it's not enough. But I'm giving you the very best I have. I'm not going to be lazy or slothful or derelict in my duty. I'm giving you the best I have. Now, okay, God, I've taken it as far as I can take it. But here, see what you can do with that. Yep. And God takes it and just blows your mind, man. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, so the glory goes to God.
Yeah. Yep. And Nehemiah, man, the whole thing, Ordinary World Changers, has been amazing.
Yeah.
We got one Sunday left in it. Care to give everyone a little maybe 10-second tease on where we're going?
We're going to finish strong. We're in Nehemiah chapter 6. They finally finished the wall. There's only one thing left to do. They don't have the gates on the wall. There's these two massive doors. If you've ever seen movies, that's exactly how it was. Mm-hmm. And here's the deal about finishing strong. You would think that if they finished the wall, that their enemies would be so reserved to the fact, well, they finished the wall. Mm-hmm. There's nothing we can do to stop it now, that they would quit and lay down. Not even close. Yeah. Not even close. They try to stop them right until the very last. And so we're going to talk about two tactics of the enemy that he tries to use to stop you. Here's the principle. Now, that's all I'm going to say. I've learned over the years, and I'm going to show it to you in the Bible. The closer you get to accomplishing the thing God has called you to accomplish, the harder your enemy will fight to stop you. Mm-hmm. The closer you get, the harder he fights. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we're going to look at in Nehemiah 6.
It's going to be good, man.
Yeah, man.
It's been great as always. Be sure to share the podcast with someone. We'll see you back in 2 weeks.
Let's do it.